For art curator David Martin, a chance encounter in 1986 ignited his interest in a long-forgotten Japanese-American artist.
When he unrolled it, the painting was really in bad condition. It had holes in it, it had a big slash in it. I asked him who the artist was, and he said it was his father. I said, "Is your father a famous artist?" And he said, "Well, he was, but he's been forgotten."
The man's father was Kenjiro Nomura, who was active in Seattle's art scene from 1910 through the 1950s.
When I saw the breadth of his work that he had done from the teens into the 20s into the 30s, I was just overwhelmed.
David Martin is now curator of the Cascadia Art Museum. 36 years after restoring that first Nomura painting, Martin has pulled together an exhibition showcasing Nomura's forgotten work.
His work has a wonderful freshness and vitality. It retains its currency. It's a real gift to us.
Barbara Johns is an art historian and author of the book Kenjiro Nomura, American Modernist. It tells the story of Nomura's immigration to the United States in 1907, his early years in Tacoma, an eventual move to Seattle, where he settled in the vibrant Japanese-American enclave known as Nihon Machi.
Nomura and his colleague Kamakichi Tokita were sign painters. They had a shop on 6th Avenue between Main and Washington. A number of the paintings in this exhibition are in the immediate vicinity of that sign shop. Puget Sound, for instance, it's a view from the vacant lot immediately adjacent. That red brick building in the foreground still stands. There's an intimacy about them. They picture the pathways and the alleys. The interest is more in the local view, the way one might walk through that street. Nomura was recognized during the 30s for the clarity of light that he could imbue in his views.
A good gauging of how well Mr. Nomura was thought of in the community is that he was asked to be the first artist to have a solo exhibition at the Seattle Art Museum when it first opened in 1933. So he was well on his way to attaining a very impressive national reputation until the war broke out.
World War II was devastating to Seattle's Japanese-American community. Executive Order 9066 was a turning point. It authorized the forced removal of all people of Japanese descent from the West Coast. There is little written record of Nomura's reaction to these events, but in researching her book, Barbara Johns uncovered a story recounted by a neighboring business owner that provides a glimpse of Nomura's state of mind.
She described Nomura as being deeply upset, going out behind the shop, lighting the burn barrel, and beginning to burn his paintings. It was one of those graphic details that suddenly gives the author, or the reader, I hope, insight into the anguish of that time.
Nomura, along with thousands of other Japanese Americans, was first taken to the Puyallup Relocation Center, where remarkably he continued to paint.
There's a series of 9 watercolors, and these are a really interesting shift from his work in the 1930s. If there were any figures in the paintings of the 1930s, they're very secondary. But suddenly, with these drawings and paintings from Puyallup, they are filled with figures. It's almost as if a shift in the crisis. He felt a need to document these historic times.
From Puyallup, Nomura, his wife, and son were sent to the Minidoka incarceration camp in the high desert of southern Idaho. Here his work returns to a more timeless view, focusing on the landscapes, and improbably, he succeeds in capturing the beauty of the very terrain where he is held prisoner. The years following the war were not a celebratory return to a pre-war life. Just a year after returning to Seattle, Nomura's wife, battling depression, took her own life. Nomura wouldn't paint again until 1947, when some younger colleagues encouraged him to pick up his sketchbook. Quickly, however, his work took a new turn towards abstraction. a new style reflecting the new world he came home to after the war.
In this work of 1947 seems to culminate with this painting of Puget Sound. And we see the buildings blocked into becoming abstract shapes, and then this wonderful giant kelp that encircles the composition. Nomura was very much an artist of his time. After World War II, abstraction was very much in the air.
Through the early 1950s, Nomura did regain some level of success with his new abstract style, being selected for regional and international exhibitions, but he never regained the prominence that he enjoyed before the war.
Although he was starting to rebuild his reputation, he had gotten sick and died at the age of 59.
In coming decades, he's been largely forgotten, and we intend that it really mark his place in not only regional history, but also American history and American art history.
I think the story of Kenjiro Nomura is a story of triumph and tenacity.
Nomura's work offers insight into the life of a first-generation American, one whose eye for everyday scenes and urban details make his work both impressive examples of 20th century art and powerful documentation of the region's history. David Martin believes it's a legacy worth remembering.
That's what we're all about here, is reinstating reputations of artists who really deserve it. And Kenjiro Nomura really deserves it.
Watch CityStream Thursday nights at 7 on the Seattle channel, or get video on demand and podcasts anytime at seattle.gov.